Perao Jr.,
Present.
Alvarez Jr.,
Present.
Heron, Go, Lacson, Pimentel III, Tolentino,
Sir, may question po kayo kay General Burgos.
I already expressed my concern. Wala na rin magagawa. For future reference na lang yun, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Sige po. Salamat po. Any other? Senator Amy Marcos.
to defeat the CPP NPA that continue to flourish in Northern Luzon. Are there any specific innovations or best practices that you will use in the Northern Luzon area from your previous assignments?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, to the good Senator Amy Marcos, I would like, first of all, before I proceed with my answer, I'd like to thank the good Senator for the opportunity on the good Senator. And with the 1.5 hours engagement with the good Senator, I was able to get a lot of inputs from Senator Amy. And a part of that would be implemented in my campaign plan here at the Northern Luzon Command. I will be bringing the good practices that we have learned and applied in Southern Luzon, to which I was the former commander of a brigade and also a division commander. Apart from building the gains of the executive order number 70, apart from building on the gains, I will be applying an intensified approach to the community, particularly when it comes to addressing the recruitment of the new People's Army. As you all know, there are influx of surrenders in the Northern Luzon area, and we will be preventing the recruitment of trying to recover the NPAs of further what you call this further recruiting other members like the marginalized community of the indigenous people and also the youth. And apart from that, we have existing engineers, military engineers that would implement projects that are needed in the areas of geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas. And also, we will be intensifying our information drive despite this COVID-19 pandemic in all schools through BTC and all other means. That will be all, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you very much, General, and we are heartened by your enthusiasm and look forward to the final disappearance of all insurgency in Northern Luzon. I was just curious also, General, I just discovered that you wrote the first military human rights handbook in Asia. And we wanted to commend you on that. And I'd like to know if the AFP is utilizing that.
Actually, ma'am, Your Honor, that is we wrote the first and the second handbook on the Commission on the Human Rights and International Humanitarian Law for Soldiers. And I think right now they have come up with several revisions for that. And they are actually propagating all those theories and concepts that had been practiced even before. If I understand, if my memory serves me right, I think, ma'am, that will
your expertise in civil, military, and counterinsurgency operations. You are also reportedly well admired for your firm advocacy that stresses the importance of collaborative efforts of all stakeholders through an integrated government approach, not merely a military solution in resolving the long-standing insurgency problem. I also noted, General Burgos, that indeed you co-authored the Philippine Army Soldiers Handbook on Human Rights and International Humanitarian Law way back in 1999, and which was considered as the first military human rights handbook in Asia. So aside from congratulating you, General, and thanking you for putting the Philippines on the map in this way in our home region of Asia, I'd also like to ask you, dahil binanggit nyo po na may mga revisions na since then sa handbook na ito, considering that, oo nga po, 21 years have passed, so practically a generation, if you were to update and further revise this Philippine Army Soldiers Handbook on HR and IHL today, paano nyo po siya i-revise, General, Mr. Chairman?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, una po sa lahat ako ay nagpapasalamat sa very kind remarks ng atin pong binigay po ni Ma'am Risa Ontiveros.
You're very welcome, sir. Magkapatid po kami ng mista nyo.
Opo. And marami pong salamat for that very kind remarks and nakakataba po ng puso.
You're very
And
welcome, sir.
if I will be given the opportunity, ma'am, and the chance, aside from applying what I have learned and what I have practiced for the past, I think that was 2 decades, more than 2 decades. Ang isa po dun, ma'am, is that right now, we are always on the defensive position. Pinag-usapan po natin ang human rights is that ang lagi pong babanggitin is that no human rights committed by the armed force of the Philippines. But napakarami pong human rights violations that are being committed by the other side, particularly the New People's Army po. So kaya naman po towards that side, we will be now should be more equipped in terms of conducting the offensive stance, ma'am, rather than always on the defensive position.
Thank you, General Burgos. Mr. Chairman, gusto ko lang bigyang diin na but I'm sure the good general is also aware of this dahil nakapagsulat na nga po kayo ng handbook on HR and IHL. Talaga naman pong sa tradisyon ng human rights sa buong mundo, yung primary duty bearers natin ay tayo pong nagtatrabaho sa gobyerno at kasama na po kayong nasa armed and uniformed services ng ating estado. And therefore, parang sa climate change scene na may sinasabing common and differentiated responsibilities na in the same way na yung mga industrialized nations na primary polluters ng mundo, sila yung may mas mabigat na responsibilidad. At ganun din po ang tingin ko, at least ang tingin ko po, General, tayong nasa gobyerno, ang primary duty bearer sa usapin ng pagbantay sa karapatang pantao at pagsiguro na tayo mismo ay hindi lumalabag sa karapatang pantao. Now, having said that, cognizant po ako at pinapahalagahan yung developments sa human rights, hindi lang literature, pero sabihin natin philosophy, na pati yung mga NSAs o non-state actors ay accountable din kapag sila ay gumagawa rin o lumalabag sa karapatang pantao ng mga mamamayan, ng mga non-combatants, at syempre kasama na dun sa non-combatants yung mga combatants out of combat kapag po naman yung ating mga kababayan sa AFP pati sa PNP ay out of combat. So I'm hoping, General, na yung original na diwa ninyo sa pagsulat nitong Philippine Army Soldiers Handbook on HR and IHL ay nananatili hanggang sa ngayon. kahit na alam natin, and I understand why, and I hope na appreciate din ni General kung bakit parang nagmumukhang on the defensive lagi tayo sa gobyerno, lalo na kayong mga kababayan namin sa AFP at PNP, but that yung sinabi niyong more offensive stance is still cognizant na yung pangunahing gigiit sa human rights accountability ng mga non-state actors kasama ang New People's Army para sa kanilang human rights violations ay sa panig ng mga state and civil society pati private sector na human rights advocates. And lastly, Lieutenant General Burgos, gusto ko rin kilalani na yung sinasabi nga dito sa inyong background information na you were also given a Gawad sa Kaunlaran Medal in 2019 for his achievements in the implementation of the Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program o ECLIP for his efforts in paving the way for peace and progress in Region 4. So para din dito sa inyong pagsusumikap, General, sa larangan ng yung peace advocacy at saka peace building at sa yung mga nauna na nating napag-usapan. Congratulations po sa inyong confirmation ngayong araw. Mabuhay po kayo and by snappy salute. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much po, Senator Rizon Tiveros.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Senator Francis.
Yes, just a point of privilege. Perhaps you can direct the Secretariat because there is hindi nyo naririnig siguro, there is another speaker we can hear inside this committee room. There is another there's another individual talking and we cannot avoid crisscrossing the points being raised in the other room. So perhaps the Secretariat can be ordered to paano ba mapapahina yon?
Thank you po, Senator Francis. Wala pong masyado narinig dito. Mr. Secretary? So okay. Now the chair would like to recognize Senator Bongo. Senator?
Mr. Chair, allow me to extend my utmost gratitude to the 30 members of the armed forces who are with us today. Congratulations to all the uniformed personnel whose ad interim appointments will be confirmed and nominations be given consent to this morning. I would like to make record my full support for the confirmation of the ad interim appointments of Colonel Luis de los Santos Villanueva, Major General Robinson Jr., and the nomination of Brigadier General Pedro Francisco. Tagal ko na pong kilala ang mga sundalong ito. Colonel Villanueva, dating CO ng 84th Infantry Battalion sa Davao, sa Malagos. And then si Major General Robinson naman po ay naging Assistant Commander ng 7th Infantry Division, Philippine Army. And then naging Task Force Commander din po ito. At si Brigadier General Francisco naman ay current Deputy Commander ng Philippine Air Force sa isang sa Clark Air Base. I strongly support the confirmation of the ad interim appointments of Colonel Darren Comia, Colonel Jose Jesus Alatok, Colonel Proceso Ribancos, Colonel Bernardo Takeban, Colonel Edgar Cato, Colonel Benjamin Leander, Colonel Filimon Dumoran, Colonel Jesse Trinidad, Colonel Arnold Corpus, Colonel Manolo Santiago, Colonel Antonio Rafael Abundabar, Colonel Ulysses Mancao, Colonel Maria Consuelo Castillo, Colonel Dennis Alcarde, Captain Jeff Rene Nadugo, Captain Dwight Steven Dulnoan, Captain Virgilio de Guzman, Captain Salvador Sambalilo, Colonel Mel Pagayon, Colonel Maynard Camaro, Captain referring to Navy Captain, Colonel Haron Acas, Colonel Emil Rex Santos, Colonel Leopoldo Babante, Colonel Salvador Sambalilo, Colonel Vener Morga, Brigadier General Alan Hambala, Brigadier General Noe Alberto Peñafiel, as well as recommend the nomination of Lieutenant General Arnulfo Burgos to be given consent by the Commission. Our country will forever be forever be indebted to each and every one of you for your continuing service to the Filipino people and for ensuring our safety at all costs. My salute to all of you. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much po, Senator Bongo.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead po, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead po, ma'am. Senator Cynthia Villar. Go ahead po.
okay. I would like to manifest my support to the appointment of Proceso Rebancos as Colonel of the Philippine Army. I know him personally. I can vouch for his integrity and capability. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much po, Ma'am Cynthia. Any other? Congresswoman Josephine Sato, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You have the floor, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, ma'am.
yeah. I will not be asking questions from Major General Arnulfo Burgos, who is being nominated to the rank of Lieutenant General. I would just want to manifest my support for his confirmation because he was our battalion commander. He was a battalion commander of Occidental Mindoro in 2008. And while he was our battalion commander, he was judged as the 2008 best performing infantry battalion in Southern Tagalog region. He during his stint as our battalion commander, he was successful in unifying all the stakeholders in our fight against insurgency. And the one program or project that I would not forget is when our Apo Reef Natural Park, which is the second biggest reef in the world next to the Great Australian Barrier, was being poached and encroached upon by foreign fishermen. And he was the one who supervised 24-hour security operations to preserve and protect our Apo Reef Natural Park. So in view of all this, Mr. Chairman, I would like to appeal and support the confirmation of Major General Burgos to the rank of Lieutenant General. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much po, Congresswoman Sato. Congressman Benji Agrao, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, maraming po salamat. Gusto ko rin pong matala ang aking pagsuporta kay Lieutenant General Burgos. Personal ko po siyang kilala at kamag-anak ko po ang kanyang nag-iisang asawa sa bayan ng Lumban. Yun lang po, Mr. Chairman. Maraming pong salamat.
Salamat po, Boss Ben, Congressman Benji.
Mr. Chair,
Congressman Valentino, sir. Go ahead po.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to have General Robinson on the table.
Thank you very much po, General Burgos, General Robinson. But before we continue, the Chair would like to recognize the presence of Senator Bong Revilla.
Mr. Chair, likewise, I'd like to manifest my support for the confirmation of General Burgos, but I'd like to ask some few questions to General Robinson, whom I've known for the last several years. Saan ba tayo ulit nagkita? Sa Manawag, ano? Sa Manawag. And I can attest to his competence, but I would want to know his plans since he is now being posted in Bicol for the forthcoming Peña Francia and other festivities, religious festivities in the areas, considering his wealth of experience while assigned as commander in the Manawag area in Pangasinan. Hindi ko na tatanungin sa iyo, General Robinson, kasi kaya wala dito yung ilang colleagues namin kasi nanonood ng Miami Heat versus Los Angeles Lakers. Ang isa sa mga pinapalakpakan ni Senator Villanueva na magaling na bahagi ng Miami Heat, hindi lang yung Phil-Am coach na si Eric Spoelstra na tiga Laguna, ewan ko kung kamag-anak din ni Congressman Agaraw, ang lahi. Ang pinapalakpakan po doon ay isang bagong player, ang pangalan, Duncan Robinson. Kamag-anak mo ba yun, General Robinson?
Po, sir. Hindi po, sir.
Kamag-anak mo?
No, sir. No, sir.
Kasi I've seen your records, nakausap din kita noon, why you have an American name. Ang sabi mo, yung tatay mo, lolo mo, ay kasama doon sa invasion ng Manila Bay under General Dewey, Admiral Dewey. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. May story, sir.
So, I still vividly recall, Mr. Chairman, that a few weeks ago, a month ago, I commended the first Filipino general with a Chinese name, General De Leon, I think. And now, we now have a first Filipino-American, a Filipino general American general in the Philippine Army. So baliktad naman ngayon. But pinapalambot ko lang po itong usapan kasi lamang na po ang Lakers. Going back to my previous question, ano po yung gagawin natin sa Peña Francia that could probably serve as a template for the forthcoming Feast of the Black Nazarene in Manila this coming January 9? Ano yung gagawin natin na ginawa mo rin sa Manawag? Wala na akong tanong. Hindi ko tatanungin itong nangyari sa Davao. I was also there after 2 days. You were posted there. Na-solve na naman yung police matter ito. So anong plano mo sa Peña Francia? In coordination with the police authorities, of course. General Robinson.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for that question, sir. I am Major General Henry Robinson. I am already the designated 9th Infantry Spare Division commander based in Bicol region. And my plan actually, sir, to enhance the security when it comes to our religious activities in Bicol, specifically in Peña Francia, is we will give deployed forces also and reinforce the PNP, because the first line of security actually is the role of the PNP, but we can actually augment their forces and during the activities.
So, General, you're saying you're assuming that even with COVID-19, festivities would have to continue?
No, sir. The Peña Francia actually, sir, has already lapsed, sir. It was conducted in the September, sir. September, third week of September. And what we did actually, sir, is we just augment and give extra support to the local PNP deployment in the area, just like what I did when I was still the brigade commander in Manawag. We have actually coordinated with the religious heads of the Manawag Church, and we have augmented also the PNP there. And during that coordination, sir, napakalaki po ng nagawa po ng tropa natin kasi and on daily basis, on regular basis, meron na po tayong augmentation dun sa kanila. Meron tayong isang team po na nag-augment sa ating PNP and securing the whole church. And also during the Peña Francia, sir, hindi kasi natuloy yun, sir, because of the COVID pandemic. So what we did actually, we augment also our PNP counterpart in the and securing the checkpoints and going in and out of Naga City, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, General.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, I have no further questions, and I vouch for the competence and integrity of General Henry Robinson, Jr., no relation to the Miami Heat player. Thank you, General Robinson.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much po, Senator Francis Tolentino. Chair would like to recognize the presence of Senator Joel Villanueva. So any other member want to Senator Risa?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have one question for Colonel Jose Lunto, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John Robinson. Colonel Lontok, can you please occupy the seat in front? Go ahead, ma'am.
Salamat, Mr. Chairman. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Colonel Luntok. I'm happy to ask you just a single question, since you and my youngest brother, who served proudly as a member of the Philippine Navy Marines, were Armista at the Philippine Military Academy. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a record that based on our background information on Colonel Lontok, his service reputation states that he is admired for his expertise in special combat operations, counterterrorism, and special reconnaissance, and that he is known as a battle-tested officer. He actually graduated 14th out of 214 graduates of the PMA class of 1995, well within the top 10. As well, Mr. Chairman, in 2019, he was honored with a Distinguished Conduct Star for, among others, his leadership as commander of the Task Group Panther 201, his contribution to the success of the Marawi military campaign, his guaranteeing the sustenance of operational, logistics, and administrative requirements of all his units during the campaign, and very important for me, Mr. Chairman, for ensuring that human rights are upheld in every undertaking. So that is my single question for you this morning, Colonel Luntok. Paano po sa gitna nitong lahat ng mga gawain ninyo bilang military commander, kung saan ay pinarangalan kayo nitong mataas na medalya, paano nyo sinisiguro ang pagprotekta at hindi paglabag sa karapatang pantao sa gitna nitong lahat ng mga undertakings ninyo, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the question, ma'am. First of all, I'm Colonel Jose Lontok. I'm currently the Deputy G3 of the Philippine Army. And thank you for that question, ma'am. I will cite my experience in Marawi when I was the battalion commander there in the main battle area. I made sure that I always remind my men to uphold human rights, especially when we go inside homes that are not ours. I will tell them that just imagine yourself that ang sinasabi ko sa kanila, ma'am, is just imagine na bahay nyo rin yan, pinasok ng ibang tao. Make sure that you will respect it and ensure na yung gagamitin nyo lang is yung kailangan nyo. And when you go out from the main battle area, you should not bring anything that does not belong to you. And when it comes to that's for the properties, when it comes to the non-combatants, especially the women and children,
yes,
I always remind my men to make sure that they will only shoot on armed enemies, and make sure that we will make sure that we will rescue as much as possible all hostages, because there were instances there that the enemy was using their hostages as a shield. Sometimes they're binibigyan nila ng baril, especially mga lalaki na wala namang bala, and sila yung ginagawang pain sa mga bintana at mga pintuan for our snipers. So I always tell my snipers that siguraduhin niyo muna nakalaban yan. And that's all that I did, especially in Marawi, ma'am. Thank you for the question, ma'am.
Salamat po, Colonel. Sabi nyo, that's all that you did, pero marami na po yun, malaking bagay po yun. And bilang miyembro po nitong Commission on Appointments, ina-affirm ko po sa inyo yung intention namin bilang mga sibilyan na mambabatas, ipagpatuloy ang lahat ng aming magagawa para magtagumpay na yung mga matatagal at napakahirap na mga peace processes, para din mas mabigyang daan both yung patuloy na pagkamit ninyo ng inyong military mission, while gaya ng sinasabi tungkol sa inyo, ensuring that human rights are upheld in every undertaking, at para din mas mabigyang daan na yung long term na mga plano ng armed forces tungkol sa modernization proteksyon at pati pagsisiguro ng ating external defense capacity, lalo na sa mga problemadong area tulad ng West Philippine Sea. So muli po, maraming salamat po sa inyo, Colonel Luntok. Mabuhay po kayo. Congratulations sa inyong confirmation and as well, my snappy salute. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Risa. Okay, go ahead po, Senator Lac.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
did you lose some personnel in Marawi?
Yes, sir. I lost 19 men.
19 men. How about the families? Are you still taking care of them?
When I was still a battalion commander, sir, I tried to talk to most of their
Yeah.
most of their wives and mothers. Until now,
You still maintain contact?
yes, sir. Especially to the wife of my company commander, Captain Sandoval, who
Yeah.
won the Medal of Valor Award.
That's good to hear.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much po, Senator Ping Lacson. Any other member who wish to question or request? Senator Risa? Senator Risa?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Salamat po. If I may just one more question to one more officer here with us this morning. My kabaro, my fellow woman, Maria Consuelo Castillo, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, nag-e-echo po yung mic ni Senator Risa. Baka mayroon naka-open pang ibang gadgets doon.
Yes. Opo.
Salamat, Mr. Chairman, at salamat, Senator Ping.
Yan, okay. Okay po.
Salamat, Mr. Chairman. Magandang umaga po, Colonel Castillo. Mr. Chairman, I would like to commend you, Colonel Castillo, my fellow woman, for being one of the most promising female officers of the AFP and for being recognized as one of the PMA's Magnificent Seven. Mr. Chairman, yung Magnificent Seven po ay taguri sa first ever graduating female cadets or first ever female cadets of the Philippine Military Academy. Colonel Castillo is also one of the first two PMA female graduates to join the Philippine Air Force and the first ever female pilot to join the 205th Tactical Helicopter Wing to fly the legendary UH-1H Combat Utility Huey helicopter. She was also honored, Mr. Chairman, with an Outstanding Achievement Medal in 2019 for her contributions as project manager in the crafting of the VVIP Flight Operations Handbook, the first ever handbook to serve as a guide for the pilots and crew of the 250th Presidential Airlift Wing. So for these, among other reasons, Mr. Chairman, kaya po kinikilala si Colonel Castillo bilang isa sa pinaka-promising female officers ng Armed Forces. Colonel Castillo, this is truly an incredible achievement, especially when it comes to pushing for gender equality in the military. So, dalawa lang po siguro tanong ko sa inyo, Colonel Castillo, do the policies and programs we have right now for our women soldiers and officers, do they protect enough your rights and interests, such as opportunities for appointment, admission, of course, training, and promotion, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Colonel.
First of all, ma'am, sirs, your honors, thank you very much for having us here, and thank you very much for your kind words, Ma'am Giza. And regarding the policies that you mentioned regarding women, I can only speak based on my experience and based on my observations on the careers and how we were treated in my 27 years in the service. So far, I can say that the service has been very good to us females since the passing of Republic Act 7192. We have been accorded with equal opportunities for training and for job opportunities. Most of the specializations and jobs in the AFP, specifically in the Air Force, there are already females. Almost all of the platforms we have in the Air Force are already manned with females. We have pilots, we have flight engineers, we have maintenance crew. So I can say that women have been afforded equal rights, opportunities for training and job opportunities. And we have been fortunate that we also have leaders who have treated us well and who have given us opportunities based on our competency and not because of our gender. That's all I can say, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. And what other policies or programs, if any, can you recommend, especially for the AFP, Mr. Chairman?
So far, ma'am, I can say that most of our policies on women that accord equal opportunities are already very comprehensive. Probably just a few more policies on administration. Probably it's actually not a major issue, but some females, especially now that we all already have SOGI issues in the
Yes.
AFP, believe that we should change policies on uniform, especially so that most of our uniforms are actually very feminine, and some would prefer that they be given the opportunity to be to not be in skirts, especially so that it is the required uniform for females during formal occasions.
Thank you for that, Colonel Castillo, at pati yung pagbanggit ninyo sa SOGI, dahil alam nyo naman sa Kongreso ay tinatalakay pa rin yung SOGI Equality Bill. So thank you for pointing out that kunyari hindi lang sa gender expression pero professional expression, kahit yung sa tingin siguro ng iba na maliit na larangan ng uniforme ay importante rin to allow every individual and every professional, pati every military professional, that conducive working environment. Siguro huli na lang po, Colonel Castillo, kung pwede kayong magbigay ng mensahe sa pamamagitan ng aming Commission on Appointments. Mensahe sa mga batang babae, younger women, na nangangarap din nung ipinapangako na progressive military career sa ating armed forces. Ano po yung bilang isang babaeng opisyal at kinikilalang one of the most promising female officers of our armed forces, ano pong mensahe yung ibibigay nyo sa kanila, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to extend the gratitude of the women in the service to the Commission on Appointments and to our administration. For so many decades, we have been afforded good opportunities to perform, to contribute in nation building and development through the Women Empowerment Act and the continuous development of policies and laws that ensure that we contribute, that women continue to contribute significantly, not only in the AFP, but in all other fields. This is a very good opportunity for us. More and more women are being given higher ranks to be able to participate in higher decision making and higher leadership of the AFP. And I hope this continues on. And to all the women out there, especially to the younger generation, I encourage everybody to consider a career in the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Of course, all jobs and careers have dignity, but being in the AFP, I can say for myself and I can say for all those who I've worked with, and this opportunity to serve as a soldier of the Armed Forces of the Philippines has really given us the best opportunity to be of service to our country. And I hope you will do the same. And I hope you decide in the future to also join us in the AFP. Thank you very much, Sir Senator.
Thank you very much, Colonel Castillo. for that message. Well heard. And salamat, Mr. Chairman, to Colonel Castillo. I hope yung pangarap na sinabi ninyo ay isang araw dadalhin yung aming Committee on National Defense ng CA para i-confirm kung hindi man kayo, isa pang kapwa babae o kabaro natin bilang unang babaeng Chief of Staff ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. So to you, ma'am, my both sweet and equally snappy salute. Congratulations sa inyong confirmation at mabuhay po kayo. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Risa. After our chair would like to recognize Senator Amy Marcos and then Senator Bong Revilla.
Yes, thank you very much. And echoing my colleague from the Senate, Senator Risa Ontiveros, may I also endorse the nomination of Colonel Nuñag Castillo. Siya ay isang kababayan ko sa panig ng kanyang ina na taga Ilocos Norte at sabi nga pasingkedante kinatanok ni Ilocana at tunay na kami nagmamayabang tungkol sa ating Magnificent Seven, higit sa lahat kay Colonel Nuñag Castillo na siya'y isang ehemplo ng sundalo at babae. Maraming salamat po. I'd also like to inquire with the chair if questions have been posited kay General Hambalya at saka mamaya kay Colonel Camarao. Yun lang po.
Thank you, Senator Amy. Senator Bong Revilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to congratulate 30 gallant men and women officers we have today. I would like to extend my commendation for their dedication to duty, bravery, and patriotism as demonstrated in their many years of officers of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Salamat po sa inyong mga magiting na serbisyo para sa ating bayan. And I would like to personally express my support to Maria Consuelo Nuñag Castillo, Colonel, Philippine Air Force. As manifested by Senator Ontiveros and Amy Marcos earlier, she is recognized as one of the Magnificent Seven, one of the first 7 female cadets who were accepted by the Philippine Military Academy and one of the 2 first PMA female cadets to join the Philippine Air Force. Patunay na kayang-kaya pong makipagsabayan ng mga kababaihan sa mga kapwa nila sundalo at sa mga pagkakataong ito, maring mas magaling pa. And I would also like to commend Pedro Santiago Francisco III, Colonel, Philippine Air Force, who is nominated to the rank of Brigadier General. He is bemedaled officer and a consistent achiever in his trainings and military courses. But what particularly struck me was his Military Merit Medal 2015 as Commanding Officer, Philippine Air Force Procurement Center for saving the government almost 170 million pesos. Kung sa PhilHealth nagwawaldas ang pera ng bayan, dito ay nakakatipid tayo sa pagsunod sa Government Procurement Reform Act. And I would like also to support the appointment of Jose Jesus Casile Luntok, Colonel, Philippine Army, who was a battle-tested officer and was distinguished for his courage and heroic efforts as commanding officer during the height of Marawi crisis. And of course, I give my full support to the nomination of Lieutenant General Marcelo Burgos, a bemedaled and dedicated officer who had shown loyalty and patriotism to our people and our country. My snappiest salute, General Burgos. And that's all, Mr. Chair. Sa inyo pong ating mga magigiting na mga sundalo natin, mga officers, saludo po kami sa inyo. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Senator Bong Revilla. Thank you, Colonel Castillo, ma'am. Can we call General Alan Hambala to take a seat in front? Senator Amy, ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much, General. I was very heartened by the reports that you conducted an information drive in Agusan del Sur State College last August, and said that you would work specifically against the recruitment of students in the different universities. Tuwan-tuwa po ako na narinig ko yun, at alam natin na hindi mapigil-pigil ang problema natin sa CPP and PA dyan sa Caraga region. So I wanted to know, is your engagement with these youth groups part of your civil military operations? Do you have program funds, or paano kayo nag-ooperate? Sariling sikap pa rin?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, I'm Brigadier General Alan Ambala, the commander of 4th Infantry Brigade based in Prosperidad, Agusan del Sur. I'm a native of Agusan del Sur actually, ma'am. So I'm from the barangays of Agusan del Sur. So I basically know that the main sources of recruits are coming from the local schools. So with that information, so we intensify our information operations to the students of different schools, informing them about the CPP and NDF recruitment scheme. So with that, although meron naman kaming suporta na nanggagaling sa aming higher headquarters, but the local government units, the local chief executives are fully supporting us in our effort to inform the students in the province.
Yes, I understand that it's been a local problem for a very long time, and I certainly will tell your governor that we need to push forward with this, although I know that they're very, very enthusiastic already with Governor Santicane and the rest of the officials. They're fully behind you. And with that, I'd like to endorse Brigadier General Alan Hambala's appointment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much po, Senator Amy. So, any member who wish General Hambala? Wala na po. Thank you, General. Chair would like to invite Colonel Camarao in front. Senator Amy.
Yes, thank you very much. I know, Colonel, that you won a Gold Cross Medal for Gallantry in Action together with the Construction Battalion. So I wanted to inquire whether there are innovations or perhaps improvisations that you had to do to improve the mobility and safety of your combat maneuver forces in their effort to beat the Maute, Isnilon, Hapilon terrorist group in Marawi. Paano nyo nagawa yun? Kasi alam ko na very unprepared tayo sa urban terrorism.
Yes, Your Honors. Ma'am, good morning. I'm Colonel Maynard G. Camarao. I'm currently the Chief Army Housing Office. And yes, my battalion then, the 524 Engineer Construction Battalion, was involved during the Marawi sheds through combat support operations. Unfortunately, during that time then, our unit was not equipped fully well. We are only using our organic equipment. That's why if you have seen pictures during the Marawi sheds that we converted our equipment into an armored vehicle. We have done so with several bulldozers and several excavators. And this one was successfully used to support the combat operations in Marawi, ma'am.
Yes, I saw the pictures of those conversions into instant armored vehicles from construction vehicles. Kaya tuwan-tuwa po ako at gusto ko i-endorse si Colonel Camarao for innovation and tunay na discarded Pinoy. Maraming salamat. Thank you. And Mr. Chair, I'd also like to endorse the appointment of Colonel Arnold Corpus without asking any further questions, simply to extend full support for the creation of the 51st Engineer Brigade, which is spearheaded. We definitely need more Army engineering brigades, given the situation of our infrastructure in infested areas. Thank you very much. That will be all po.
Thank you very much po, Senator Amy. Thank you, Colonel. Any other member? Since Senator Risa.
Salamat, Mr. Chairman. Without asking a question of this officer, I would, however, like to make of record my support for the confirmation of Colonel Proceso Rebangos, Colonel of the Philippine Army, an alumnus of the Philippine Military Academy class of 1994. He was honored, Mr. Chairman, with a Distinguished Service Star in 2013 for exerting all efforts to ensure his command's strict adherence to all policies. So just for the record, Mr. Chairman, and wishing Colonel Rebangos, congratulations, mabuhay po kayo, and again, my snappy salute. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much po, Senator Risa. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Chairman, we've heard our colleagues and I don't think anyone is still interested to interpolate or ask questions. So I now move that that the committee recommend to the plenary the confirmation of 28 ad interim appointments and give its consent to 2 nominations of senior officers in the armed forces of the Philippines. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. Hereby approved.
Mr. Chairman, there being no other matters to discuss, I move to adjourn this meeting.
Any objection? Hearing none, on motion of the there being no objection. The meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you very much po, and
The sixth plenary session of the Commission on Appointments in the second regular session of the 18th Congress is hereby called to order. Let us all pause for a minute of silent prayer. Please remain standing for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiin, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw. May dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal, ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walhati pagsinta, buhay ang langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
The Secretary will please call the roll.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The honorable members of the Commission on Appointments. Advincula. Agaraw. Present. Almario.
Present.
Alvarez Jr.
Present.
Cagas. Chepeco Jr.
Present.
Drilon. Ferrer IV.
Present.
Heron.
Present.
Go.
Present.
Ontiveros.
Present.
Lacson. Marcos. Noel. Pancho. Pimentel III.
Present.
Po.
Present.
Ramirez Sato.
Present.
Revilla Jr.
Present.
Tolentino. Villanueva.
Present.
Villar.
Present.
Zamora. Subiri.
Present.
The Honorable Chairperson is present.
With two members physically present, 20 virtually present, for a total of 22. The Chair declares the presence or absence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Of the plenary session held on September 30, 2020 and consider the same as approved.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Chairman, may we now proceed to consider the recommendation of the Committee on National Defense on the nominations and ad interim appointments of 30 senior officers of the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Any objection? None. The consideration of the recommendation of the Committee on National Defense is in order.
Mr. Chair, I move that the chair. Mr. Chair, I move that the chairperson of the Committee on National Defense, Representative Luis John Ferrer IV, be recognized.
Representative Luis John Ferrer IV is recognized.
Is recognized. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, Your Honors, this morning, your Committee on National Defense conducted a hearing to deliberate on the ad interim appointments and nominations of 30 officers armed forces in the Philippines. All of them proved that they possess the fitness, competence, integrity, and other qualifications to hold the ranks to which they were appointed ad interim or nominated. Thus, your committee ruled to recommend to the plenary the confirmation of the ad interim appointments and for the commission to give its consent to the nominations of these senior officers. Mr. Chair, may I then move that the commission gives its consent to the nominations and confirms the ad interim appointments of 30 senior officers in the Armed Forces of the Philippines, namely Arnulfo Marcelo B. Burgos Jr. to the rank of Lieutenant General.
Any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved.
Henry A. Robinson Jr. to the rank of Major General.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Alan D. Hambala to the rank of Brigadier General.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
No. Albert Q. Peñafiel to the rank of Brigadier General.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Pedro S. Francisco III to the rank of Brigadier General.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Romel S. Pagayon to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Edgar L. Catu to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Louis Villanueva to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Maynard G. Camarao to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Darren E. Comia to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Jose Jesus C. Luntok to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Aaron S. Acaz to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Proceso S. Rebancos to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Bernardo A. Takeban to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Benjamin L. Leander to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Emil Rex C. Santos to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Felimon D. Domoran to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Jesse M. Trinidad to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Vener Y. Morga to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Manolo V. Santiago to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Leopoldo T. Babante to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Arnold R. Corpus to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Antonio Rafael H. Abundabar to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Air Force.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Ulysses S. Bancao to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Air Force.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Maria Consuelo N. Castillo, the rank of Colonel, Philippine Air Force.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Dennis Q. Alcarte to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Air Force.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Jeff Rene S. Nadugo to the rank of Captain, Philippine Navy.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Dwight Stephen M. Dulnoan to the rank of Captain, Philippine Navy.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Virgilio C. de Guzman to the rank of Captain, Philippine Navy.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
And Salvador M. Sabalilo to the Philippine Navy. Philippine Navy.
Any objection? Any objection? Here's none. Approved.
That is all, Mr. Chair. Honors. Salamat po.
Thank you. Majority Leader.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, there being no other matters to discuss, I move to adjourn.
Before the adjournment, I'd like to get the sense of the members of the commission on the plenary sessions and even the committee hearings of the commission during the break, because this is not an adjournment. This is a suspension from October 15 or 16 to November 15. What is the sense of the commission? Senator Lacson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would suggest that we continue deliberating on the confirmation of the remaining, I think 200 more or less, no? In fairness to them, Mr. Chairman, since we're on break, but the session is only suspended. We are not adjourning on November 17. So, and maski naman nasaan yung ating mga kasamahan, as long as merong internet service, they can participate virtually. So I would suggest that we continue deliberating on the remaining confirmation of the other officers of the armed forces. That's my suggestion, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Tolentino.
Mr. Chairman, I concur with Senator Lacson, and the same goes true with the suspended deliberation relative to the confirmation of one cabinet member, the Secretary of Housing, Secretary Del Rosario, and the consensus. I've made some personal calls, is that we finish first with the budget hearing of the Department of Housing, and since we will not be going into an adjournment, we can still proceed with the deliberation of Secretary Del Rosario, pending the submission of the documents required by the members of the House. That is likewise as a follow-up to the manifestation made by Senator Lacson, and he will not be placed in that strike 3 box, so to speak, because we are still in suspension. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And that goes for all the other nominees as far as the Department of National Defense is concerned. Those who will not be approved by today are not bypassed. And that can continue. because, as you said, it is a break and suspension and not an adjournment. So you may, therefore, if there is no objection, we are allowing the committee meetings and committee hearings to go on, and for the plenary to be conducted in consultation, of course, with the other members of the House and the Commission. A plenary session, if there are nominees to be confirmed. You know, I just have one condition. You make sure that there's somebody with me here, because as long as Senator Lacson and Tolentino are here, we can convene the plenary. Otherwise, we cannot. There is no such thing as a full virtual commission in plenary. All right, so Senator who?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Who's that? Majority Leader? Majority Leader?
Yeah, I have a question on the capacity of our room when we conduct hearings, no, which we will during the break, as mentioned. Can we still have about 180 to 200 men in uniform up for confirmation. Is it possible to increase the number of warm bodies in the committee so that we can take this up? Maybe about 60 of them at one time.
Senator Lacson.
Si Majority Leader, hindi ka kasi ma-inject, kaya wala ka dito.
Hindi, kaya napapaalam or kaya tinatanong.
Perhaps the prudent thing the prudent thing to do is to just simulate what we have today. 30. Maximum siguro 30. Mukhang parang gusto na maging puno ng konti sa 30, pero pwede pa. We can perhaps open the side of the side of the hall. Pero tama na siguro yung 30. We leave it to the chairman of the committee concerned, and then of course in consultation with the secretariat.
Mr. Chairman, my remark was meant as a joke. Don't take me seriously.
Yes.
Gentleman from Cavite.
Senator Villanueva, you were saying something, Senator Villanueva?
The gentleman from Cavite is joking. I am serious. I am taking that seriously.
Senator Villar, you raised your hand? No? Okay. So, Majority Leader, the motion stands. You call for the previous question?
Mr. President, Mr. Chairman,
Senator Subiri.
Mr. Chairman, before we adjourn, I would just like to congratulate all the Lakers fans in the CA for a win today. We are anticipating some Shake Shack for lunch, Mr. President.
You should double congratulate the chairman. You should double congratulate the chairman because the chairman bet on the Heat. Plus 7.5.
Congratulations.
They lost only by 6. Senator Tolentino.
Mr. Chair, since we...
From Cavite, who stayed the whole time, physically present, without watching the game, considering that he is an avid fan of LeBron James.
Mr. Chairman, since we are in a caucus, I'd like to take this opportunity to ask some members of the Housing Committee if they are in receipt of and if they are substantially satisfied with the documents I have here with me, coming the PERT CPM addressed to Congressman Noel, as well as the other documents required by the members of the committee. These are newly received documents emanating from Secretary Del Rosario. So, gusto ko lang po malaman kung sufficiente na po ba ito. Ang mga humingi po noon is, I understand, Congressman Bem Noel and Congressman Almario, and I think one from Congressman Chipeco as to the railways housing near Calamba, and Congressman Pancho. So natanggap niyo na po ba ito? And papadala pala itong bago po. I was informed by the secretariat that it will be sent to you today. Pero nakatanggap na po ba kayo ng mga dating hinihingi nyo? Yung Marawi ata tapos na yon, pero ito yung mga bago pa personal request just arrived today. Can we know from Congressman Noel?
Yes, from in my case, I have received already the documents coming from Secretary De Rosario, Senator.
Thank you, Congressman Chipeco. Congressman Noel, can we? Because we'll be sending you another batch. The Secretariat will be sending another batch of documents. Your PERT CPM, Marawi PERT CPM.
They did send a few documents, no, and I'm waiting for the PERT CPM. In the same manner that this representation will also be submitting what will be requested of the secretary to fulfill the dream and the promise for Yolanda.
Congressman Noel, I think you have the option of sending your questionnaire directly to Secretary De Rosario rather than having it course through the committee. But just copy furnish this committee para mapabilis tayo ng pagsagot niya. If that's fine with you, Congressman Noel.
No further question for me, no. Only the promise that he made publicly in front of the committee that he will look into the possible additional and housing for the remaining 75%, if I'm not mistaken, of the totally damaged houses during the Yolanda.
Okay, so no more questions about Marawi. Sayang, kanina we have the hero of Marawi here. Marawi Siege, Colonel Luntok is here. Hindi na natin tanong tungkol doon, pero I think that's besides
Mr. Chairman,
the point kasi housing. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, yung submission po ng PERT CPM will actually tell us if all his submissions and all his promises with regard the December 2021 completion will actually be done, no? That PERT CPM is very important.
Yes, it's in possession now of the secretariat.
Thank you.
Secretary Villacorta can provide you with the copy.
Okay.
So, lahat po natanggap na. Salamat po. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. So, any objection to the motion of the majority leader for an adjournment? Chair hears none. Session is adjourned.